At least one daughter has a real career. That's what my mother, Judith Caldwell, said at my sister Mallory's bridal brunch. Everyone laughed. Then Mallory posted on Instagram, "Must be nice being unemployed." I smiled. I said nothing, because nobody knew I'd spent 8 months building her entire wedding system for free. The website, the seating charts, the vendor dashboard, even the digital passes for 200 guests. Then, 2 hours before the rehearsal dinner, my phone started ringing. Not from Mallory, not from Mom, from strangers. Because 200 guests suddenly couldn't open their wedding passes. And one question kept coming up. Who built all this? For the first time in her life, my sister didn't have an answer. My name is Sienna Caldwell. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina. And by the end of that weekend, the same people who laughed about me, sitting on a laptop all day, learned exactly what I did for a living. For years, my family treated my work like a joke. Mom called it computer stuff. Dad said, "You don't even have a boss." And my sister Mallory loved telling people I was always available, because according to them, working from home wasn't a real career. Apparently, sitting on a laptop all day meant I had endless free time. That was my first warning. What nobody understood was that Caldwell Digital Studio wasn't a hobby. I built websites, client portals, automation systems. I had wedding planners and event venues all over North Carolina using my work. But I never bragged. And because I didn't brag, my family assumed I wasn't successful. I was wrong to let them. 8 months before the wedding, Mallory called. "Can you make an RSVP page?" That was it. Just a page. Something simple. I said yes. Because she was my sister. I wish that had been the last request. Within weeks, the project exploded. Guest hotel links, vendor contacts, seating charts, meal preferences. Then came the digital passes. Preston's family loved the idea. Mallory took all the compliments, and I didn't mind. At least, not yet. At family dinners, Mom would ask, "How's unemployment going?" Everyone laughed. Dad laughed. Mallory laughed. And I laughed too. Because explaining myself felt exhausting. What I didn't know was that Mallory had started believing her own jokes. 2 weeks before the wedding, we had a bridal brunch. Mom stood up with a smile. "At least one daughter has a real career." Everyone burst out laughing. Then Mallory opened Instagram. A minute later, she posted, "Must be nice being unemployed." My cousins reacted with laughing emojis. Mom commented hearts. And I said absolutely nothing. That changed everything. What surprised me most was Preston's mother, Connie Hayes. She hugged me and said, "Sweetheart, Mallory says she built everything herself. You're lucky she's so creative." I smiled. Yeah. Because correcting her would have ruined the brunch. But hearing someone praise my work and give credit to someone else hurt more than I expected. A few days later, bridesmaid Shelby Dean called me. "Sienna, have you seen Mallory's Pinterest page?" I hadn't. Then Shelby sent screenshots. My stomach dropped. Mallory had uploaded screenshots of my systems and labeled them Mallory Caldwell Events. Apparently, she wanted to become a wedding planner after the honeymoon, without telling me. Then I noticed something strange. One of Mallory's posts had comments from another bride, Vanessa Burke. She wrote, "Can't wait to work together." Work together? I frowned, because Mallory wasn't a wedding planner. Then I saw Mallory reply, "Can't wait either." And suddenly, I realized something. She wasn't pretending. She was selling. 3 days before the wedding, Mallory texted me. "I changed the admin password." I stared at my phone. Why? "I need to be independent." Independent? After I spent 8 months building everything? I asked for the new password. She left me on red. Then Shelby texted me. "Sienna, Don't be mad, but Mallory said she doesn't need you anymore. I sat there staring at the message. Because she had just locked me out of the system. And neither of us knew yet that she'd just made the biggest mistake of her life. At first, I wasn't worried. Mallory changing the password was annoying, but the system was already built. Everything was automated. Then I remembered something. Domain renewals, security certificates, cloud backups, all the boring things nobody notices. And suddenly, I wondered if she'd remembered any of them. The next morning, I received an automated notice. Not because I still had access, because renewal emails were still being forwarded to my business address. Subject line: urgent, renewal failed. I frowned. Mallory had changed the password, but apparently she hadn't updated the billing information. That was my second warning. I texted her. Your renewal failed. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. 10 minutes later, she replied, Relax, I know what I'm doing. No thank you. No questions. Nothing. I stared at the message, because she absolutely did not know what she was doing. That afternoon, Shelby Dean called. Sienna, don't get mad. When people say that, I always get mad. She laughed nervously, then lowered her voice. Mallory keeps saying she built everything. I sighed. That's not new. No, I mean she's teaching Preston's family how it works. My stomach dropped. Teaching? Mallory didn't know how to log in. And suddenly, I felt sorry for her. That feeling wouldn't last. Everyone loved the digital passes. Guests could save them directly inside Apple Wallet. QR codes, table assignments, meal preferences, parking information, even hotel check-ins. Preston's uncle called it genius. Connie Hayes bragged about it to everyone, and every compliment went straight to Mallory. I didn't mind, until she started believing she deserved them. That evening, I received a strange email from Vanessa Burke. Hi, Mallory gave me your number. She said she designed your wedding system. I already paid her deposit. My eyes widened. Paid her? For my work? I slowly reread the message and realized my sister wasn't borrowing credit anymore. She was building a business around it. The next day, Mom called. You know Mallory's stressed. Mom, she's taking credit for my work. Mom sighed. You work from home, Sienna. As if that means what? It means you have flexibility? Flexibility. The favorite word of people who don't respect boundaries. Dad agreed. Family first. Always family. Never me. One feature Preston's family loved most was the wedding assistant I'd built. Guests could ask questions about parking, dress code, hotel check-ins, gift registry links, even directions. Everyone joked that it was smarter than most wedding planners. Mallory accepted every compliment. Of course, she never mentioned who built it, and neither of us knew that in a few days. Even the chatbot would go silent. While my phone kept ringing, someone uploaded a TikTok. Bride's website crashed 2 hours before dinner. At first, I ignored it. Then I saw the comments. Who built this? Why are 200 passes dead? And suddenly, strangers cared more about my work than my own family. I opened my laptop, and my heart sank. The wedding website was gone. Guest portal unavailable, passes disabled, seating charts offline, everything completely gone. Then my phone rang again. This time it wasn't a guest. It was Preston's mother, Connie Hayes. And the first thing she said was, Sienna, sweetheart, everyone says you built this. What happened? And suddenly, I realized nobody was calling Mallory anymore. Connie Hayes wasn't angry. She sounded confused. Sienna, everyone says you built this. What happened? I took a deep breath. Connie, Mallory changed the admin password. Silence. Then she quietly asked, Wait, you built all of it? Apparently, Preston's family thought Mallory had done everything herself. And suddenly, I wasn't dealing with a wedding problem. I was dealing with a lie. Meanwhile, chaos exploded. The photographer couldn't access the timeline. The florist couldn't open the vendor map. The caterer lost meal counts. The DJ couldn't find the first dance playlist. Even the seating chart PDF disappeared. And the wedding assistant stopped answering guest questions. Nobody understood what was happening, because the entire wedding depended on systems Mallory didn't understand. That changed everything. I finally answered. Mallory sounded breathless. "Sienna, please." Not angry, not sarcastic, panicked. "Guests can't get inside the portal. The passes are gone. The vendors are calling." I closed my eyes, because for 8 months I'd been invisible. And now suddenly, everyone remembered my number. Not because they respected me, because they depended on me. And dependence isn't gratitude. Then Shelby accidentally forwarded something. Actually, it wasn't meant for me. It was a bridesmaid's voice note. Mallory was laughing. "She works for free anyway." Everyone laughed. Mom laughed. Even 2 bridesmaids laughed. I sat there staring at my phone, because that recording had been made yesterday. Yesterday. And somehow it spread. The florist heard it. The photographer heard it. Even Connie Hayes heard it. And suddenly people stopped laughing. They started feeling embarrassed. Then something incredible happened. The florist accidentally sent me a screenshot. Not intentionally. Wrong person. And there was Mallory's vendor group chat. I read one message, and my blood ran cold. "My sister works for free." Another message. "I'm not paying her for computer stuff." The caterer had seen it. The photographer had seen it. The DJ had seen it. And apparently, so had Connie Hayes. 20 minutes later, Connie called again. Only this time Preston was beside her. "Sienna, did you really build all this?" "Yes." "For 8 months?" "Yes." "And Mallory never paid you?" "No." Silence. Then Preston whispered. "She told me she designed everything." And suddenly I realized something. He'd been lied to too. Connie asked quietly, "Can you prove it?" I opened my laptop. Backup logs, activity reports, development history, 418 hours, thousands of edits, 8 months, everything with my name on it. There wasn't a single login from Mallory. Not one. And suddenly, the truth became impossible to hide. Then I received another call. Vanessa Burke. "Sienna, please tell me this isn't true." "What?" "Mallory promised she'd build my wedding system next year." My stomach dropped. "Vanessa, she didn't build this one." Silence. Then, oh my God. Apparently, Vanessa had already paid a deposit. And just like that, Mallory's fake wedding planner business started collapsing. Then Mom called. Not to ask how I was. Not to apologize. She sounded exhausted. "Sienna, people are panicking." I stayed quiet. Then she whispered, "Can't you just make everything normal again?" Normal. Not fair. Not honest. Normal. The same normal where everyone laughed at my work. The same normal where Mallory took credit. And suddenly I realized something. Nobody wanted accountability. They wanted convenience. And I'd been providing it my whole life. For the first time in my life, I didn't jump in to save everyone. I closed my laptop, made coffee, and sat quietly. Because after 8 months of unpaid work and years of jokes about being unemployed, I wasn't interested in being anybody's emergency button. Then my phone rang again. Connie Hayes. Connie wasn't alone. Preston was on speaker, and he sounded devastated. "Sienna, she told me she built all this." I said nothing. Then he asked softly, "Can it be fixed?" "It can." "How long?" "Depends." Connie hesitated. "What do you mean?" And for the first time in 8 months, I answered like a business owner. "Emergency weekend recovery starts at $10,000. Silence. Complete silence. Mom called 3 minutes later. $10,000? Mom, that's discounted. Discounted? You told everyone I don't have a real job. She gasped. You would charge your own sister? I smiled. No. I'm charging a client. And suddenly Mom had no answer. Shelby called crying. I'm sorry. What happened? The voice note got forwarded. Apparently one bridesmaid sent it to another, and then another. Soon everyone heard Mallory laughing. She sits at home all day. If anything breaks, she'll fix it. Mom's laughter was in the background. Even Aunt Cheryl heard it. And suddenly, family members stopped asking me to help. They started asking questions. According to Connie, Preston was furious. You lied to me, Mallory cried. It wasn't a lie. You let me believe you built everything. You never asked. Preston laughed bitterly. I trusted you. Then he left the room. And for the first time since the engagement, Connie wasn't defending Mallory. She was defending me. That changed everything. I sent exactly 4 items: emergency restoration fee, weekend support fee, data recovery fee, unauthorized commercial use fee. Total, $11,800. No emotions, no insults, no guilt, just business. 20 minutes later, Connie Hayes called. We'll pay. Not Mom, not Dad, Preston's family, because they respected work. Then I discovered something else. Mallory hadn't just forgotten the password. She had changed the email settings too. Vendor confirmations, QR code updates, reminder emails. Everything had been going to spam for days. Then I found the real reason the seating charts disappeared. Mallory accidentally removed permissions from the shared Google Drive. The rehearsal timeline vanished. Vendor maps disappeared. Table assignments became inaccessible. People thought the website had failed. But half the chaos wasn't technical at all. It was human. And suddenly, I realized something. I hadn't broken anything. Mallory had. My phone rang again. Vanessa Burke. I'm done. What? I want you, not Mallory. Apparently, she'd already demanded her deposit back. And after hearing the truth, she wanted Caldwell Digital Studio, not Mallory Caldwell Events. Mallory's side business died before it even started. Dad showed up at my house. He looked exhausted. Sienna, maybe we didn't appreciate what you do. Maybe. That word bothered me. Maybe. Dad looked ashamed. I laughed too. I nodded. Yes. And you liked Mom's comments. He lowered his head. Because sometimes silence isn't neutral. Sometimes silence picks a side. Then Connie Hayes called one last time. Her voice was calm. We transferred the money. Thank you. Sienna. Yes? Can you save the wedding? I stared at my screen. 8 months, 400 hours, thousands of edits, and not one thank you from my sister. Not one apology from Mom. Not one acknowledgement from Dad. Then I opened my backups. Because unlike Mallory, I actually knew where everything was. And suddenly, everyone who laughed at the unemployed daughter was waiting for the woman sitting behind the laptop. I opened my archives. Everything was there. Guest lists, QR passes, seating charts, vendor schedules, 8 months of work. Nothing had been lost. Because unlike Mallory, I believed in backups. And unlike my family, I respected what I'd built. 3 hours later, the entire system was running again. Only this time, something had changed. Before restoring the homepage, I made one change. At the bottom of every screen appeared 5 words. Technology Systems by Caldwell Digital Studio. Nothing flashy, just the truth. Because for 8 months, everyone thought Mallory was the genius. Now they would know who actually built everything. And surprisingly, Connie Hayes approved immediately. When I arrived, conversation stopped. People stared. Not because I was unemployed, Because everyone now knew. The florist hugged me. The photographer thanked me. Even the DJ smiled. Then Preston stood up, in front of everyone, and said, "None of this weekend would have happened without Sienna." I saw Mallory freeze, because for the first time in her life, she wasn't the center of attention. Then Shelby Dean approached me. "I'm sorry." She looked genuinely ashamed. I laughed because everyone else laughed. I smiled sadly. That's usually how it starts. Then another bridesmaid apologized. And another. Apparently, hearing the voice note had embarrassed everyone, because mocking someone is funny. Until they stop needing your help. Mom tried fixing things. "It was just jokes." Connie Hayes looked directly at her. "No. It was disrespect." The room became silent. Dad looked away. And for the first time in my life, someone defended me before I had to defend myself. That changed everything. Later that night, Mallory found me alone. Her makeup was ruined. "Sienna." I waited. She started crying. "I didn't think you'd actually stop helping." I stared at her. Not because I was angry, because that sentence explained everything. She never expected gratitude, never expected consequences. She expected access. And access isn't love. 2 weeks after the wedding, my phone rang. Vanessa Burke. I fired my planner. Then she laughed. Actually, I never had one. She signed a contract with Caldwell Digital Studio that afternoon. 3 more referrals followed. Apparently, truth was better marketing than Instagram. Business exploded. Wedding venues started recommending me. Event companies hired me. I brought on 2 employees. And for the first time, I rented a real office. Mom stopped calling it computer stuff. She still didn't understand everything I did. But she finally stopped laughing. And honestly, that was enough. 8 months later, Mallory called. Her voice sounded nervous. "Sienna." "Yeah?" "I need help with a baby shower website." I smiled, then opened my email. A minute later, she texted, "Did you just send me something?" "Yep." "What is this?" "My client portal." Silence. Then she laughed awkwardly. "Seriously?" "Seriously." Because family wasn't a job title, and access wasn't automatic anymore. This time, if Mallory wanted my work, she could start where everyone else started, as a client. Funny thing about family. People laugh at what they don't understand. They laughed when I sat behind a laptop. They laughed when Mom called me unemployed. They laughed when Mallory posted jokes online. But 200 guests, 20 vendors, and 1 entire wedding learned something my family never bothered to ask. What I did for a living. Because when those wedding passes disappeared, nobody called the bride. Nobody called my mother. Nobody called the people laughing. They called the woman sitting behind the laptop. My name is Sienna Caldwell. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina. And my sister spent years telling people I was unemployed. Until one broken website taught everyone exactly how employed I really was.